And be a good boy, wait for mommy. Be a good boy, wait for mommy. Be a good boy. Say hi to the everybody. I am back. No, I haven't forgotten about the clothing series. Like I said, just trying to find fashion in my 40s. But I will tell you this before I talk about something else. I have discovered that the reason why I'm probably not as confident in what I got going on and what I'm wearing and that type of thing is because I'm wearing clothes incorrect to my body shape, my body type. And I discovered that I am an inverted triangle. I am broad shouldered. I am top heavy. I don't want to say I don't have a butt. I do have a little something back there, but I just have a narrow waist. And so, but more on that later as far as understanding your body type. That is super important. Know what your body type is and just take some measurements of just your chest, your bust, your hips, and your waist. Those things are super important. But anyway, want to talk about, sorry, I gotta look at my dog because he's always into something. So I want to talk about something that is so interesting to me as I look back at it, because this actually happened now 4 years ago. So of course, I celebrated my birthday yesterday, and the day after that, when I thought I was going to have some fun to celebrate my birthday at the time, the world shut down. Okay, the world shut down. But at the time, the guy that I was talking to at the time completely forgot about my birthday. And I know that you're probably thinking, well, why is that relevant and that type of thing? For me, as someone who has an intimate partner, you know, it is important for me. Even though I've been in positions where I had no money, right, when I was dating, and if I don't get an opportunity to spoil you any other day, I make sure that I spoil you on your birthday. And so I always like to remember my partner's birthday. And that's something that I never forgot. I always remember my partner's birthday at the time. Even though I wasn't able to do certain things around my partner's birthday, somehow my partner would do things like travel without me at the time. And he did that actually almost every year. And then this particular time where things were scarier, things were uncertain, my partner forgot about my birthday. Now, mind you, I had just driven to West Virginia, which is the halfway point between Kentucky and North Carolina. And it's actually where my grandmother grew up in Bluefield, West Virginia, which is exactly 4 hours in between where I live in Kentucky and where I'm from in North Carolina. And you know, my mom had made it special for me, even though she didn't have to, but she made it special to me. And so I will tell you this, me personally, the phone that you are watching this video on is extremely sentimental to me at the moment. I know I got to give it up eventually because this was one of the last gifts my mom got me before she passed away. But at the time, my partner forgot my birthday, and I was just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And this wasn't just a one-time thing. This was a constant, consistent thing. There were just milestones that my partner would not acknowledge. And in addition to that, you know, he wasn't very supportive. He would only support me from behind. Like I said, and I said this in many videos and countless videos, there were so many signs that I ignored that were very clear that this man did not like me. And I just ignored them because I wasn't confident in myself. Fast forward to 2022. I had buried my grandmother 6 months prior. I had just lost my aunt. You know, I had went through a lot of financial struggles at the time. My mother, and I give word of advice, if you are like a position like myself, if you're the oldest daughter of maybe a single parent, especially a single mother and a single grandmother, and you are in that situation where something happens to them or one of them, you're going to be paying for other things. Get your finances in order and start to separate your finances, okay? Because let me tell you something. When I tell you, I had to bear a large portion of everything that has happened. I had to bear a large portion of all of those transitions. And so in 2022, um, and I'm still in that rebuilding process. It's 2024, and thankfully, things have gotten way better than what they were looking like in 2022. But I, just quiet as kept. I had no money. Had no money. I had no groceries in my refrigerator. I could barely get gas. I was so thankful at the time to be working at least 20 minutes away. I was taking care of my mom's dogs, and I'm thankful that I planned ahead for that and bought them. I think I bought them dog food for at least a year and a half, so I was thankful for that. And I took care of some other things that they didn't require a lot of maintenance in between. I had just dealt with this guy who I just found out he was in a relationship with, and it was just, at the time, it was just so painful, just still trying to deal with losing a parent and a grandparent, being an orphaned adult, trying to manage taking care of siblings who depended on the parent that was just lost, and you're trying to take care of yourself, you're trying to take care of your mental health, all while dealing with, like I said, a relationship loss, grieving the loss of a relationship, and grieving the loss of a friendship, right? So there was just a period of time where I was probably at my lowest and at my darkest. And I will tell you this, for me personally, I had to get into God's word. Hold on a second. Is what I got into the Fire Bible. This, and let me say this. Yes, get into God's word regularly, okay? Pray about pray about how you're going to receive God's word for sure. But I wanted to receive God's word in a very realistic and a very life-changing way. So I went and purchased the King James Version of the Fire Bible. Love this Bible, okay? I've tabbed it. There's so many notes in here. There's so many commentaries now. Like I said, continue to pray, because ultimately, this is like any type of commentary in here, of course, obviously, is the commentary of a ministerial leader, a teacher, a preacher. Of course, those are the interpretations of man. So be mindful of that. But I really wanted to get into God's word, but ultimately you have to pray. I had to check on my dog to see what he's doing. But ultimately, you have to pray. And I'm sorry my hair looks like this. This has been a very relaxing, kind of gloomy day. But get into this. And when I was getting into this, right, like I said, lowest point of my life. I've had a lot of low points, but probably just dealing with a collection of things at once was my absolute lowest point. Got into this, prayed, for real, okay? And in me getting into this, right, it prompted me to write a book called Bound, okay? And you can read it on Amazon for free. All right, Bound, so when I wrote the book, I had to bring it out myself. So when I wrote the book Bound, those letters represent something, right? And B starts for bitterness, O stands for offense, U stands for unforgiveness, N stands for negative thinking, negative talking, D stands for distraction and delay. And I wanted to highlight that having those things, that are going on in your life can weigh you down, and it won't promote any type of forward movement. And with the B, I especially related with the B because it just hurt so badly that I had all this stuff happen. I never would have thought that this guy would go off and be with somebody else. And at least I thought I was good to this man. Like I said, I played a part in that too. But I thought I was good to this man, and same thing. And, I did right with my mother, and but even when she passed away, there's a lot of other internal things that I had to deal with in her absence, yes, I grieve her because I miss her. This is my best friend that transitioned, but I grieved some of the other things that I haven't dealt with, just kind of with the childhood trauma, right? And so that stuff can leave you like bitter, and then being offended. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. I have read this book, The Bait of Satan, 3 times. Okay. And the message is still the same, is still solid, is still good. Offense is what keeps you separated. Okay. And, being offended to me is like throwing a temper tantrum because you can't have your way. And by all means, go pick up that book. I'll link it in this description box, about The Bait of Satan. I encourage every believer to read that book, The Bait of Satan, because offense, man, that will definitely hold you down. And then when we talk about unforgiveness, I was looking at, it's so interesting that there are people on social media that says that I don't forgive people. I strongly disagree. You need to forgive people, and forgiveness is not saying that you're the weaker person. Forgiveness says, you know what? I'm ready to move on. So I'm ready to let this go. And by you forgiving them, like I said, it does not excuse injustice. It does not excuse anybody who has done injustice to you, participated in any abuse on a child. They should be locked under the jail and throw away the key. Okay. But what it does is that it releases that trap that you are holding on to really let go of this person, like really letting go and let God deal with them. Because the longer you hold on to unforgiveness with this person, and a lot of times unforgiveness can be displayed in our daily actions, how we respond to different things, how we respond to when someone totally unrelated to somebody else, but someone might say something or do something that is triggering, and then you might have a negative response. It's still like unforgiveness is very real, and unforgiveness seriously can kill you. So that's like you thinking that the poison is going to impact the other person, but the poison is impacting you. Blood pressure's up, cortisol is up, hair is thinning, all the other stuff. And then talking about negative thinking and negative talking, like and this is controversial for some of y'all, but I don't care. I like watching Stormy Wellington. I like watching Stormy Wellington because she makes it be known that she's had a rough upbringing. She's had to do what she had to do, with her kids, with her mother, taking care of kids, making sure that everybody had what they need. She is not silent about how she talks to herself, and that is important for all of us. Like what we say to ourselves, not only verbally but out loud, not only verbally and out loud, but to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you telling yourself? Like, what is it that, does this line up? Like, is what you're saying to yourself verbally and inside your head line up with God's promises? Okay. I firmly believe that sometimes some of us really struggle with really, believing and having positive self-talk to ourselves is because we don't know enough of this. And some of us are still holding on to bitterness, unforgiveness, offense, all that stuff. And so this might be a shameless plug, but I highly encourage you. Right now, I think it's on Amazon. It's free. So I highly encourage you to go check out this book, Bound. It's something that I wanted to release from my heart because I was really going through a rough time in my life. And I firmly believe that, you can get right back. You know, I'm gonna take it to the saints and ain'ts. Okay, starting with the saints. God can restore. God can renew. Get into His Word. Get into His promises. Get into the book of Psalms. Get into the book of Job. Get into get into the book of Exodus. And granted, there are going to be periods in your life where there are deserts, okay? There's going to be deserts, there's going to be droughts, there's going to be periods of time where you feel like that you're going to you rather die before you have to endure this whole trial. I was there. I just thought in my head that if I just take my dogs to a shelter. At the time I had 2 dogs, or my mom's dogs. I thought at the time that if I just take those 2 dogs to the shelter, a no-kill shelter, and just put everything down and just take a long walk until I can't walk no more, I figured that was going to be the best way to myself at the time, because there was a period in time where I was, as my dog's eating, there was a period in time where I was really struggling mentally. And that book probably tells that I was really struggling mentally, but maybe prayerfully that this book is something that helps you. And it's so important to just continue with the positive thoughts, continue with, get out of your head, get away from the negative self-talk. And if that means you got to get away from certain people, get away from certain people. Because one thing that I've learned is that certain people say things and they think it's not funny, but that essentially is projecting their own fear. You feel me? And so you just have to get in a position where the bitterness, you have to uproot. And I'm talking like really dig deep in its roots. What is the reason behind this bitterness that you're holding on to? You know what I'm saying? I think I said in another video, some people struggle with cleaning, right? And part of their rebellion to cleaning is they won't do it. They won't do it, or it'll take them a minute to do it. And that might be because of the deep root that they may have had with when they were a child with cleaning and it being treated as punishment, right? So some people, those are deep roots, and we have to really expose these roots. And back to the saints, requires deliverance. Okay. Just being delivered from those deep roots. And let me tell y'all, deliverance is ugly. Okay. It ain't pretty. It ain't pretty. Okay. But the beautiful thing in that is that when you are delivered and when God pulls those roots out, beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. And not only that, you'll be able to tell your testimony to help somebody else who might be in that same boat. Okay. And so I just pray that this video helps. Maybe if you want to go to Amazon, the name of the book is Bound, B-O-N-D. Just type in my last name and you'll find it on Amazon. Of course, my last name is in the subject line. But I highly encourage you, just if you're really struggling to say a lot of negative things about yourself, or you just have a lot of negative thoughts about yourself, or just anything in general, I really pray that maybe, first off, like I said, always pray for me, but maybe the sound of my voice is probably the catalyst for you to say, I need to get out of this rut. Y'all, when I tell y'all I was in a rut, y'all, I really thought I was never getting out of this. But that getting into God's word and just really, at one point I had sticky notes all over the place, all over excuse me, taco, as I was getting ready in the morning, just speaking over myself, God's promises, and just motivating myself, just get up and get it done. I still have to do that to this day, because I have a presentation I got to do by Thursday. And I'm still saying that, you can do this. You can do hard things. It's okay. So I pray that this blesses you. Have a good weekend. And if you get a chance to go on Amazon Kindle to check out the ebook, the name of the book is Bound. And I just pray it blesses your life. Like I said, it is my heart just still in the healing process of probably the hardest phase of my life. So you guys be blessed.